send your blessings and praise upon the Holy Messenger and his family. Didn't the Prophet say you should do that? Didn't the Prophet say you should never send your praise and blessings upon me and exclude my family? Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. But this guy says that it's ghulu to mention salawat in every dua. There is always, when a person is a nasibi, it's very difficult to conceal their hatred towards the imams. But it has to float to the surface. It has to come out. And this is one way. He's angry and somehow, irritated by the mention of the Prophet and his family. And we have many ahadith, by the way, that says when you want to make a dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts and responds to, then begin with salawat and end the dua with salawat again. And one of the ulama has a beautiful example. I just mentioned this on the side. He says that this makes perfect sense because salawat is a dua. When you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send his blessings upon those he loves most, Allah will most definitely answer this dua. He's going to accept it. He's going to fulfill this request. So when the first portion of your dua is definitely accepted, and the last portion of your dua is definitely accepted, whatever you ask in between, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also give you. And the example they provide is, they say that if you were sitting in a majlis and somebody came and served tea to the person next to you, then he served tea to the person on the other side, surely he's going to serve tea to you as well, right? The point is, this PhD candidate's excuse for saying that this text has to be destroyed because there's too much ghulu in it. Yes, in supplication 47, and in particular in supplication 48, Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam does curse the enemies of the Prophet and his family. And he says that his family, your awliya, oh Allah, they were oppressed. It's a supplication for the day of Jum'ah and Eid. There's a special supplication. The Imam in that supplication says that your awliya were oppressed, they were repressed, they were usurped of their rights, and so on and so forth. Oh Allah, curse their enemies. And that's really what their problem is with, right? The other points are probably just to try and fill up their PhD thesis. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, through his supplications, through his dua, through his devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, was able to restore people's love towards the Ahlul Bayt, because when you get closer to God, you inevitably and spontaneously get closer to his vicegerents, to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. That's point number one. And point number two was Imam Zayn al-Abidin's akhlaq, and in particular his generosity. Generosity. Brothers and sisters, we often underestimate the power of a kind gesture. Instead of debating with a non-Muslim in Hyde Park and Speaker's Corner, raising tensions unnecessarily, causing discord and hatred, be kind, be generous. You give someone a bottle of water, they'll intrinsically be attracted to you. Give someone, during the Ashura processions I've seen in many countries, they give people a bottle of water and a flower, for instance. That's a beautiful gesture. Extend your hand, ask anybody for anything, ask them for favors, you'll be a prisoner in their hands. Never do that. Try and live within your means. Try and do whatever task you have to by yourself. random strangers, but primarily those who were so poor they had no one to turn to, and those who were orphans and had no parents or families to look after them. And number three, those who had visible scars and were sick. They had diseases that everyone was repulsed by, everyone was disgusted by. Things like leprosy, right? You see someone with a physical deformity. What's your instinctive reaction to that? You try to not to stare. You don't want to associate with them, right? Imam Zayn al-Abidin loved to host these people. Not only that, وَكَانَ يُطْعِمُهُمْ بِيَدِهِ سَلَامُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. The Imam wouldn't just put a meal in front of them, he would feed them with his own blessed hands. Ya Zayn al-Abidin, Ya Ali ibn al-Husayn, we're here so that you could feed us. Give us from your wisdom, your knowledge, your spirituality. We're so hungry, we're so thirsty, we're so deprived. وَكَانَ يُنَاوِلُهُمْ بِيَدِهِ. The hadith actually says, the people who used to frequent the house of the Imam, مَنْ لَا حِيلَةَ لَهُ. It was the ones who had nowhere else to go. وَكَانَ يُنَاوِلُهُمْ بِيَدِهِ وَكَانَ مَا جَلَسَ عَلَى مَائِدَةٍ إِلَّا وَبَدَأَ بِالتَّصَدُّقِ بِمِثْلِهَا إِلَى الْفُقَرَاءِ. Every time he sat on a meal, he would take that same meal, cut it into two halves, and he would give one half to the poor and eat the rest. And those who came to his house, the hadith says, if they had families, كَانَ يَحْمِلُ مِنْ طَعَامِهِ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِمْ. He would say, do you have a wife? Do you have kids? Or is it just you? If they had families, the Imam would take his own food and he would go and take it to that man's family. Not only that, كان يعيل 100 أسرة من أهل المدينة من فقراء أهل المدينة. I just want you to think about this for a moment. He sponsored not 2 orphans, not one family of people who were destitute. 100 families were sponsored by the Imam. And not by wiring money to some charity that gives assistance to those families in some far-flung country. No. This is how he did it. بِأَبِي هُوَ وَأُمِّي. Every night, he would go door to door to 100 families. It might seem unbelievable, right? But Ahmad ibn Hanbal, when he speaks about the Zuhad, he mentions this story. Az-Zuhari and others, they mention this story. I mean, these were people who weren't on good terms with the Ahlul Bayt. And yet the stories were so rampant, they were so famous, even they had to record them. They couldn't deny them. 100 families were under the protection and sponsorship and care of Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. He would go door to door every night. Such that each night كانوا ينتظرونه عند أبوابهم. It was a specific time. The families would often be waiting outside when the Imam came. A person who they didn't recognize as the Imam, this anonymous stranger with a mask across his face. One night, they waited outside their homes and the Imam didn't show. So they began telling each other that surely this man who's been doing this for the last 34 years, if he was going to Hajj, if he was on a trip somewhere, he would have given us a lot more last night so that the food we have suffices while he's away. There's no way he could have gone to Hajj or Umrah. Whoever this person is, he must have passed from this world. That's why he didn't show up tonight. And because they didn't know who the Imam was, they said, this is our chance to know who he is. Who's died tonight? فَسَمِعُوا نَاعِيَةَ عَلِيِّ ibn al-Husayn. They were told that Imam Zayn al-Abidin had departed from this world. And that was when they realized who this anonymous stranger was. To the point that some people have said, Kana bakhila. These same recipients of the food from Imam Zayn al-Abidin, they used to say, what a stingy man. Look at him, his house is open, every day people are going to him, he's feeding so many people, and yet we're poor and he doesn't look after us. Only when they realized it was Imam Zayn al-Abidin who had looked after them for all these years did they realize that it was him. Kana bakhila. Imagine you doing all of this and then being slandered